Good evening, citizens of Portsmouth, invited guests and friends, our city staff. I want to also acknowledge my colleagues on City Council, our city manager, Mr. Stephen Carter. Our city attorney is absent today, so we have Attorney Derek Challenger filling in addition to our city clerk, Ms. Deborah White. Thank you all for coming this evening. I would now ask all of you to stand for a moment of silence, and afterwards, we will join in with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask that my colleagues on council please note your attendance electronically.
6 members of City Council are present.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, moving right along, we have the minutes of a called meeting on September 10th, 2024, and a regular meeting on September 10th, 2024. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move for adoption. Second.
I would ask that you all please note, I vote electronically.
The minutes are adopted 6-0.
Thank you, ma'am. And we do have a presentation. I would ask the leaders of the Filipino American community to please come forward. If you would all come over and stand near me, please, like we're one big family, and look out at the audience and smile, and we'll go ahead and move forward with this. Thank you all for being in attendance tonight, and I will begin by, whereas we are proud to celebrate the 10th annual Phil Fest at Festival Park at the Atlantic Union Pavilion in Portsmouth, Virginia, on October 5th and 6th, 2024. And whereas the earliest documented proof of Filipino presence in the continental United States was October 18th, 1587, when the first Luzons Indios set foot in Morro Bay, California, on board the Manila-built galleon ship Nuestra Señora de Esperanza, and is the basis of the celebration of Filipino American History Month in October. And whereas on November the 2nd, 2009, the United States Congress passed a resolution to officially recognize October as Filipino American History Month. And whereas the earliest recorded presence of Filipinos in Hampton Roads occurred in 1865, when Jean Bugor, a Filipino-American serving in the United States Navy, was hospitalized at the Portsmouth Naval Hospital and is buried at the Captain Ted Conway Memorial Naval Cemetery at Portsmouth Naval Hospital. And whereas in the United States Navy, many Filipinos serving were stationed at the Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Portsmouth and resided with their families in Portsmouth as early as the 1930s. And whereas diversity represents one of our greatest strengths, and by recognizing the contributions and accomplishments of Filipino men and women, our Commonwealth celebrates the importance of inclusion in building a brighter future for all of our citizens. Now, therefore, I, Shannon E. Glover, Mayor of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Filipino American History Month in Portsmouth and encourage all of our citizens to join in PhilFest and commemorate the essential contributions, sacrifices, and accomplishments that Filipino Americans have made to our community. In witness whereof, and on behalf of the Portsmouth City Council, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Portsmouth to be affixed this 24th day of September 2024. And I want to congratulate you, Ms. Astaris, and I think you have a few comments to make.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to make sure we let you all know that it was through the invitation with Mayor Glover coming to PhilFest last October at Mount Trashmore, stating an invitation for PhilFest to come to Portsmouth. And since then, we have then been planning and organizing the PhilFest here for October 5 and 6 coming up, and we extend the invitation for all of you. But I also want to make sure I'd be remiss if I did not introduce the Philippine American National Historical Society, who actually lent its hand to have Congress in 2009 designate October as a Philippine American History Month. And so represented here in our own community for the FONS organization is Max Frias and Edwina Bargano. So thank you. Without them, we would not have a PhilFest here in Portsmouth. But I also want to take this opportunity because there would not be a better opportunity to thank the City of Portsmouth for opening their doors. And I can say firsthand that it has been a great experience for our team to work here in Portsmouth. A city is not as good unless its people behind the city makes it happen. So kudos to the team. But I do want to recognize not only is it Mayor Glover opening the doors and our city manager, Steve Carter, but it was its team, such as Peter Glagola in the marketing department and his media team, Angela De Los Reyes, but also planning and zoning. We've been working with Patrice. And then in the city commissioner's office, city commissioner revenue, we had Deborah and also Serene there. But then we also had Kadisha in Parks and Rec, but led by the leader, Mark Palmerchuk. So planning and zoning, your Commissioner of Revenue, your Parks and Rec, your Fire and Safety and Health, all those departments were all opening their doors and extended a hand to all of our team members because it was the first year here. So your departments, kudos for making great training and great personalities to work with. So we appreciate all of you for opening the door and having PhilFest, again, October 5 and 6 at Festival Park. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, and I believe, Vice Mayor, you have a presentation that you want to recognize.
Yes, I
Some
would.
wonderful ladies in our midst today.
Yes, as part of our Divine Nine, today we have visiting with us the Portsmouth chapter of Zeta Phi Beta. And we have a spokesperson, I believe it's going to be, is that Vanessa or someone else from the group? Ms. Hood is here.
We have Miss Ash, our president.
Miss Ash, okay, Miss Ash, okay. Well, I'll give you a little bit about Zeta Phi Beta. It was founded on the campus of Howard University in 1920, and by 5 women, collegiate women, and they envisioned a sorority that would raise the consciousness of their people, encourage the highest standards of scholastic achievement, and foster a greater sense of unity among its members. And we in the Portsmouth community work closely with our Zeta Phi Beta sisters with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So we're glad to see you here, having your Zeta Day, and being conscious about what is happening right here in our community. So if Ms. Ash will come forward, then we will hear your presentation.
Good evening. On behalf of Zeta Pi Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, we would like to thank you for welcoming us to your meeting tonight. It is our goal to continue to foster relationships with the city of Portsmouth because Portsmouth community is our home. We have been an active member of the Portsmouth community since January 5th, 1965. And we continue to want to do great things in it, from our adopted school to our cleaning up our adopted spot, which is on Missy Elliott Boulevard in the city of Portsmouth. We are actively participating with Parkview Elementary School this year, having participated with Douglas Park, Lakeview Elementary, and Waters Middle School in the previous years. We want to continue to have successes in everything that we do and support voter registration, as well as something that is very important with the upcoming election. So we want to make sure that we're always conscious and focused on how we can help our Portsmouth community. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you all for coming. That concludes our presentations, and Madam Clerk, would you please read the speaker's statement?
Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of your 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the City Council as a body rather than to any particular member of City Council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our next item on the agenda is public hearing, item 24-244. And the first item is item A, UP-24-07. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the public hearing item?
Yes, sir. Resolution granting the request of R. Stancil for a use permit to operate an event space banquet hall in Suite 36 through 37 of the shopping center at 3282 Academy Avenue in the general mixed-use zoning district. The future land use map of the Bill 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for commercial use. The property is owned by Mid-Atlantic Builders VA LLC. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions deferred from the September 10th, 2024 City Council meeting. And the actual resolution reads, a resolution granting a use permit UP 2407 to operate an event space banquet hall in Suite 36 through 37 of the shopping center located at 3282 Academy Avenue.
Thank you, ma'am. Is the applicant present? Ma'am, if you would come forward, state your name and address, you will have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Hi, my name is Miracle Stancil. I'm representing for Ray Blashida Stancil. I can start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Rayba has been a long-term business owner in the city of Portsmouth for about 30 years. She does have a daycare down the street, and she's looking to expand her business to host events. The company is called Amazing Time. The operational hours will be 8 to 12. She's looking to host mainly kid events such as slime parties, birthday parties, Parents' Day Out, animal workshops, and more. She's also looking to host events such as graduations, meetings, and other small events. We will also be hosting weekly youth empowerment programs. Our mission is to commit to creating meaningful moments with our community by providing a safe space for our community, and we aim to address the community needs.
Thank you, ma'am. Does that conclude your comments?
Yes, that'll be all.
Okay. Are there any questions from my colleagues for the applicant? Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. Members of City Council, you will notice in your packet, you have at your desk, you have a revised resolution that was updated online. The only difference is we added the hours of operation, which weren't a part of the original resolution. So just so you know.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions from my colleagues once again? Seeing none, then ma'am. Oh, Mr. Moody, I'm sorry. You're there, sir. Mr. Moody, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. And I too noticed that the changes in the two resolutions, and we've had a lot of similar requests come before this council. In fact, I was talking to Councilman Tillage earlier. Seems like almost every meeting we have two or three of banquet hall requests. I'm glad to see that zoning and planning put some conditions on them. But is this a one-off? Is this a template for similar requests that are going to come before this council? Because prior to this, there were practically no conditions, as my colleagues are aware. So is this, can somebody speak to this, Mr. Manager?
Mr. Carter, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Councilman Moody. As these applications come forward, they're case-by-case process. There's not really a template that would say, in one part of town, you ask for the exact same thing you ask for someplace else. Now, if you want to have some stipulation that this council set in place as a requirement for these type businesses, we absolutely will invite you to let us know what those things are, and we'll incorporate those into our process of evaluating these applications. But applications are based on the circumstances and situations that surround that particular instance.
I think, and I can't speak for my colleagues, I think it's something that we need to get from staff some suggestions. That this is an industry, if you may, with the number of applications come before council. You know, typically a restaurant or entertainment establishment, hours of operation would be standard as far as being included in the resolution. As you know, prior to this resolution, there were no hours stipulated. So I think it's for the good of the community that there be some parameters. I don't know if my colleagues are in agreement that we need to draft some requirements and some stipulations, some proffers, if you may, to control this. So,
Mr. Carter, sir, you said you wanted to make another comment. You had the floor, sir.
Yes, sir. If it is the desire of the council to do such, we will convene, and then we'll huddle and put some parameters together for you to evaluate. And then you can make some judgments based on those parameters. So at a later work session, we'll bring something to you to evaluate, and we can move and adjust from there.
Thank you, Mr. Carter, for that. And ma'am, thank you. This is a public hearing. If you would like to come and speak on this public hearing item, you're not required to have signed up. However, if you come forward, state your name and address, you will have 5 minutes.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Sherman Tyler at 1812 Parker Avenue. I'm very familiar with Miss Stansel Raber. I'm friends with her mother, Pastor Sally Williams. They are real good people. They are Christian. They live for the Lord. And anything that y'all thinking that will go on, it's not going to happen there. They are good, decent, saved people. And like I said, I've been knowing Pastor Williams and her daughter Raber Stansel for years, and they're not the people that you think. They're Christian people. They're going to do the right thing. And like I said, they're real good people. And they're not trying to party, club, all that kind of stuff. They're good, saved Christian people just trying to make some money and do the right thing. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you would state your name and address, ma'am, you have 5 minutes.
Pamela Anstead, Portsmouth, Virginia. It's not about Christian people. It's like Mr. Moody said, we have a lot of banquet halls opening up. We have a lot of killings in these halls. We have a lot of things going on. And I'm gonna be honest, we got killings every day. And I don't care, Christian, whatever, you call it Christian. She didn't come up here and say we are Christian people. We opened up a Christian church. We opened up a banquet hall. Like Mr. Moody said, we need to get with them and make sure what y'all doing. Y'all need to stand up to these people and tell them, bring that to me, what you want to do. Make it honest, make it good. We can do it in Portsmouth. But a banquet hall on every corner in Portsmouth, in every shopping center in Portsmouth, ain't good. It ain't good no kind of way. And we know this. We know this. And why y'all don't speak up and tell them that? Be honest with them. If you want a banquet hall and you want to have some good things going on there, we with you. But if you're going to bring that off the streets in there and we're going to be fighting, we're going to be doing this, we can't keep losing lives in banquet halls, in these corner stores. We losing lives every day, bro, in these corner stores, these clubs, Leonard Boulevard, banquet, club, all down George Washington, clubs. We losing lives every day. And like Mr. Moody said, bring it to me. You said it. Let us know what you want to do. Some honest living. Let's do some honest living. Let's do some baby showers. Let's do some baby showers. Let's do some wedding anniversaries. But to open up the banquet halls, to do what you want to do in there, I ain't with it. And I ain't mad at you. I'm going to tell you now, if you want to open up a banquet hall, bring it to them and make it honest. Make it honest. We're losing too many people in these holes in the walls. Mr. City Manager, we're losing too many people in these holes in the walls. Hole in the wall.
Thank you. Dr. Whitaker, do you want the floor now, or would you wait for the speaker? Okay.
You want me to?
Ma'am, no, you can come forward. It's a public hearing item. He just had a request. So if you would state your name and address, you will have 5 minutes.
Okay, good evening. My name is Teresa Roseborough, 2613 Markham Street. And I just want to speak on the behalf of just having banquet halls in the different communities. I don't think that it's an issue with opening up banquet halls in the area, because it's a lot of banquet halls around. It's a lot of good banquet halls around. And I don't think that's an issue with people getting killed and different things like that. The issue is that it may be a lot of clubs in the area, pretty much, that you can't control different traffic of people just coming in and out. You're expecting everybody to conduct themselves in a professional manner, but sometimes it don't go the way that we plan. And that people sometimes get out of character and they don't know how to handle themselves, and then it's taken to another level. Most places do have stipulations on the time that they open up the event and the time that they close the event. They also have security too as well. And that's what the security is there for, to make sure that to protect and make sure that things don't get out of line and possibly do their job. And then that's why if it do get out of line, then they tend to call the police. So I don't think it's an issue that, hey, one apple should spoil the bunch of having a whole bunch of having a whole bunch of banquet halls in the area, because many cities have it. Norfolk have it, Suffolk have it, Virginia Beach, pretty much too as well. But we shouldn't slight Portsmouth or people that's trying to open up an honest business to stop them from opening up a banquet hall just because we saying that people don't know how to act. So that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This is a public hearing. You are not required to have signed up to speak on this public hearing item. If you come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Melinda McLean. My public address is 221 Beacon Road in Portsmouth, Virginia. I concur with the last speaker. I think the banquet hall would be something that would be encouraged in the community because it gives, it's not that it's too many, but it gives other people other opportunities to use different places. I think that she said something that you all should really consider, putting, like you all suggesting, parameters in place to make sure that they are safe and ran efficiently may allow us to open up more than just the one that's being asked to be opened up. If the business is empty and it's just, like the other speaker said, a hole in the wall, they're serving nobody no good purpose, and we should be able to use anything that we can to turn it into something positive. So I think having some type of some type of perimeters, like she spoke of, security guards, like he suggested, Mr. Moody, some time constraints that was added to it, and just kind of having rules and regulations around these banquet halls, not just the one she's asking for, may show a much more success of having the halls in the community of Portsmouth, so that we're able to enjoy the whole city in these certain kind of ways. So I think it's not an argument, it's just a matter of order. If you guys put some things in order to have these halls up and running, and they have to be followed, and have some type of restrictions or regulations around them, then I really don't think it's a subject. I think we can move forward on it. I really think that's the resolution to it. So that's it. I don't need all my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilman Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Well, just to clarify, I wasn't speaking against this particular owner at all, and I think staff has done a good job of working with the potential owner and drafting the conditions. If we approve this, that will ensure that it's operated properly. And some of those are the hours of operation and security are contained in the conditions. So under those parameters, I'm okay with it, actually.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Lucas Burke, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I appreciate the presentation and the comments that have been made by the citizens. I am pro-business. I'm about offering an opportunity for people to have business right here in the city of Portsmouth. And prior to all of these banquet halls opening up, a great portion of our citizens had nowhere to go because the banquet halls that were available for the events that we wanted to participate in were over the top, over the cost, not affordable, and didn't cater to our interests. So I applaud these new businesses that are coming online, offering a variety of options for our citizens to participate in for baby showers, weddings, receptions, bar mitzvahs, whatever it is that we need to have in our community. I see that the Planning Commission has recommended this with the conditions, and we will, as a council, look at those conditions to ensure that they are met. But I think that this is applaudable for a young business, African-American young family who wants to open up something where our young children can go and have this opportunity. Because before these opportunities, the prices were so outrageous. We had people calling me at my office and saying, could they just rent my space? And a lot of times we donate our space because we know that people need somewhere to go where they're going to be comfortable, where no one is going to be upset about the kind of music they play and what time that they are engaging. Of course, we do need time restrictions on the time, and I think she mentioned 8 to 12, so we just took that as 8 a.m. to 12 midnight, if that's the time frame. But of course, having an opportunity that is going to work for a diverse group of people, I applaud the option.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, this is a public hearing. If you would like to come and speak on this item, please come forward, state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes.
My name's Sheila Joseph, 139 Grand Street, Portsmouth, Virginia. I do agree to have multiple places to use because even after Dinwiddie was changed over to something else, we were paying like $1,800 a night just to use that. And when I saw that that wasn't available anymore, I shopped around, and for to have someone to probably got it affordable for people to come out and rent it. I know on High Street we had a place that we wanted to use, and they just kept trying to get approved for stuff like this, and they didn't. So I would love to see someone to be able to do this like it is, but go by the rules and guidelines. And thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this item, please come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, this public hearing is closed.
Move for approval.
Second.
Is there any additional discussion on this item? Councilman Hugel, or are we voting? I mean, hold on, I see a name up there. Are we voting right now?
I have a comment.
Okay, Councilman Hugel, sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So as the council liaison to Planning Commission, I want to agree with the point that Councilman Moody made. I've watched the Planning Commission approve a lot of these event spaces, and it wasn't until Councilman Moody asked the question at the last council meeting about this particular item that the planning department went back and added the operating hours as a condition. So I think, Councilman Moody, to answer your question, at least my experience on Planning Commission is this might be the only event space in all of Portsmouth that has the operating hours as a condition in the use permit. So I think in the spirit of fairness, if we're going to impose a condition on operating hours with this business, we ought to be consistent and impose conditions on operating hours in the other similar businesses. And so getting the recommendation from the planning department on how to tackle that so that we're consistent for all similar businesses. I mean, it wouldn't be fair for an event space to be able to be open till 2 o'clock in the morning when we've restricted others to some other limited operating hours. So I certainly agree that we ought to do something like that. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. And that, Mr. Moody, okay, you were voting. So that concludes the comments. I would please now ask my colleagues to please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Thank you. Our next,
Mr. Mayor,
Dr. Whitaker,
I just
sir, you have
want to say to the owner, R. Stansel, and all of the associates, that the characterizations that were made about the business, none of that came from council nor from staff. And so I don't want that to go out as if that was some type of characterization that was being expressed from council.
Thank you, sir. Our next item, unfinished business, item 24-244, option C, UP-24-09. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the unfinished item resolution?
Yes, sir. A resolution granting a use permit, UP 2409, to operate an event space banquet hall in Suite 4646 of Williams Court 2 Shopping Center, located at 4644 George Washington Highway.
Is the applicant present?
This isn't.
Okay, this is, okay, so what? Does any of my colleagues, if you recall, this was brought back from the last meeting, so I wanted to ensure if any of my colleagues had any additional questions at this time, before we move on with this. We already did the public hearing piece of the meeting, so at this time, the floor is open for questions from my colleagues for the applicant. Dr. Whitaker, you have the floor.
I believe based on the last meeting, we were just waiting to get some type of confirmation to some of the concerns that were raised, and I believe that's what this document represents.
That is correct.
Okay, and as the city manager, you've seen this document?
I've seen it.
Okay, and it's satisfactory?
Well,
Mr. Carter, you have the floor, sir.
satisfactory is a different thing. It addresses what you asked.
Okay.
It has to be satisfactory to this group. You know?
Right. Okay, all right.
The parking and the loading is done.
Councilman Hugo, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So I said last time that I thought Planning Commission got it right because of some of the issues that were raised. As I recall, we deferred in hopes of getting more feedback from the property owner as opposed to from the leaser. I drove by there yesterday afternoon. There's still no parking back in front of the location. It says here that the tenants will no longer load and unload in the rear of the building, but there was a Food Lion trailer that was backed up to the Food Lion loading dock. There were two Dollar General tractor trailers that were back behind the building. And so the same concerns that I had and that, frankly, that the Planning Commission had last time around the safety of people transiting from the parking in the front of the building all the way around the building and to get access into this facility. Those safety concerns haven't been really addressed by the changes that have been made here. So for the same reasons that I opposed approval and that the Planning Commission opposed approval, I'm going to vote no again this time. Mr. City Manager, so to maybe follow up on the question that was just asked, so you've seen these. Has the Planning Department recommendation to deny changed as a result of this collection of things, or is it still the Planning Department's recommendation that we deny based on the other issues that we've already talked about?
Manager Carter, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. I'm going to ask Dr. Russell if she will reply to that because she's the one who's actually leading that group. She can give you a better idea of what their opinion of that is.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Russell.
Mr. Councilman Hugel, staff did make a site visit at the request of Mr. Carter on September 18th, specifically to answer the question, what are the current site conditions? And we included those photos in your package. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I hope it's the manager's letter plus the applicant's correspondence that was submitted this afternoon and those photos. And so our position is that the site conditions remain poor, and the issues that were raised at the Planning Commission meeting relative to safe access and the appropriateness of this location for the use remain the same. And so we have recommended an update to the conditions to include hours of operation in the event that council is inclined to approve the request, but our recommendation remains to deny.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Well, here we have another banquet hall resolution, one that planning, in this case, recommends denial. And I think it's not quite similar due to the location and other site parameters, but it does not contain any of the conditions that we requested for the banquet hall that we just approved on the 6-0 vote. So I wouldn't support it based on the fact that it has no conditions of operation hours, no security stipulated. So colleagues, I'm gonna vote no unless conditions are added and the parameters that planning was concerned with are fulfilled. So I'll support denial in this case.
Sorry, sir. Councilman Tillage, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I too paid a visit to this location since the last meeting. Matter of fact, Sunday. I have to agree with my colleague, Councilman Hugel, as well as Dr. Russell. I just don't think the site is to standard, in my opinion. I don't want to discourage any business, but I just don't feel like this is suitable for this type of business, especially being in the back of that shopping center, which, according to the letter by the owner, I mean, to me, there still is a lot of gray area from what I'm reading on what the owner wants to do or what she acknowledges should be done, but it still doesn't seem like it's been done. So with that being said, I'm going to vote for denial as well.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, you can have a seat at this time.
I can't say anything?
Oh, well, if you would like to add some comments, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
He stated that the loading for Food Line, he sold them there. That's not his property. This owner don't own that shopping center. So he have nothing to do with Food Line Shopping Center. Someone else owned that. So I just want to make you aware of that. And everything else, far as, I thought the only thing that had to be fixed was the loading with Dollar General, and all the other tenants wasn't allowed to load in the back. The owner did take care of that. Everything else, far as the parking of the lines, I thought they was waiting for it to get approved here before they did the lines for the parking. So that was it, but I really wanted to let you know that the owner do not own the shopping center where Food Line is at. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move to deny.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Please vote electronically. Hold a second, we have to change. Hold, please. Please vote electronically.
This item is denied by a vote of 6-0.
Our next item on the agenda is the city manager's report, item 24-268. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering at this time?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting funding in the amount of $5,000 from the Virginia 911 Services Board and appropriating said amount in the FY 2025 Grants Fund for use by the Department of Fire Rescue Emergency Services to provide training for public safety answering points personnel.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move adoption.
Second.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 24-269. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering for this item?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting grant funding in the amount of $59,708 from the Portsmouth General Hospital Foundation and appropriating said amount in the FY 2025 Grants Fund for use by the Department of Fire Rescue and Emergency Services to purchase pharmaceutical supplies.
Thank you. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Item 24-270. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering for this item?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting grant funds in the amount of $6,925 from the Virginia Department of Transportation through the Virginia Highway Safety Office and appropriating said amount in the FY 2025 grants fund for use by the Portsmouth Police Department to deter driving under the influence.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Item 24-271. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering for this item?
An ordinance accepting grant funds in the amount of $42,057 from the U.S. Department of Transportation through the Virginia Highway Safety Office and appropriating said amount in the FY 2025 grants fund for use by the Portsmouth Police Department to improve traffic safety.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move adoption.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Item 24-272. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering for this item?
An ordinance accepting a dam safety and floodplain management program grant in the amount of $162,146 from the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation and appropriating said amount in the dam upgrades project in the water category of the FY 2025 Capital Improvement Fund budget for the preparation of a preliminary engineering report to evaluate the stability of the Spitz Run Dam spillway.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Item 24-273. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance we are considering for this item?
An ordinance accepting a dam safety and floodplain management program grant in the amount of $217,568 from the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation and appropriating said amount in the dam upgrades project in the water category of the FY 2025 Capital Improvement Fund budget for the preparation of preliminary engineering report to evaluate the capacity of the Spitz Run Dam spillway.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
The next item is item 24-274. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering for this item?
An ordinance accepting a dam safety and floodplain management grant in the amount of $34,373 from the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation and appropriating said amount in the dam upgrades project in the water category of the FY 2025 Capital Improvement Fund budget for the preparation of a preliminary engineering report to evaluate seepage from the Lake Kilby Sludge Lagoon Dam.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Item 24-275. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering for this item?
An ordinance accepting a dam safety and floodplain management program grant in the amount of $192,949.46 from the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation and appropriating said amount in the dam upgrades project in the water category of the FY 2025 Capital Improvement Fund budget for the preparation of a preliminary engineering report to evaluate rehabilitation alternatives for the Lake Calhoun Dam.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move adoption.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Item 24-276. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance we are considering for this item?
An ordinance accepting a dam safety and floodplain management program grant in the amount of $802,815 from the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation and appropriating said amount in the dam upgrades project in the water category of the FY 2025 Capital Improvement Fund budget for the preparation of a preliminary engineering report to evaluate rehabilitation alternatives for the Lake Mead Dam.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
And we do have a council member who has requested the floor. Council member Hugel, so you
Yeah,
have the
thanks,
floor.
Mr. Mayor. So I want to compliment the city manager's team. The last 5 ordinances that we passed tally $1.4 million to rehabilitate the dam infrastructure around our water supply. So this is an important set of things that we just raced through the votes. But I want to compliment the city manager and his team for finding $1.4 million to help us get that work done. Thanks.
Mr. Carter, did you want the floor, sir?
Just thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Our next item, 24-277. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance we are considering for this item?
Ordinance accepting a community flood preparedness grant in the amount of $624,600 from the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation and appropriating said amount in the stormwater category of the FY 2025 Capital Improvement Fund budget to complete the final phase of the city's stormwater model.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Next item, 24-278. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution that we are considering pertaining to this item?
A resolution authorizing the city manager to approve a change order totaling more than 25% of the original contract price of the contract with Tidewater Utility Construction, Inc. for the Court Street, Green Street project.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move adoption.
Second.
Dr. Whitaker, sir, you have the floor.
Yes, just for the record, can we put that amount, do we have that amount that we can put on the record?
Mr. Carter, you have the floor, sir.
Mr. Wright, can you help me with this one? Is he still here?
Mr. Wright, sir?
Thought it was in the presentation, and I'm looking for it, I'm sorry.
It's in the box. It's in the box.
Yeah, that's right.
949.
Was it 949? Is that correct, Mr. Wright?
No.
Council members, in reading the resolution, it says, whereas as a result of these factors, previous change orders in amount of $948,981.43 have been approved, and it is anticipated that an additional $1,529,087.10 is necessary to complete the project.
That's in the record. That's all I want.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Dr. Whitaker.
All right.
Yes, sir. Councilman Hugel, sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. City Manager, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. So we talked about this during the work session. I know that you're putting discipline into this process, but I think we have concern about other CIP projects ongoing that maybe have similar overruns, and the CIP projects that have yet to even be developed that are out in front of us that are significantly large sums of money probably when we get to them. And so it would be helpful for you to alert us on the other CIP projects as they approach the thresholds for notification, so that as we're headed down this path for other things, that we get alerted beforehand and don't clean up the mess afterwards.
Manager Carter, you have the floor, sir.
I anticipated this, and by all means, you're absolutely correct in your assessment. So the only thing I will say is absolutely, this is something that has got my attention, and we'll make sure that the process is followed correctly.
Dr. Whitaker, sir, you have the floor.
Just gonna say, for if there are any future resolutions that have this type of language overrides instead of, or in addition to the percentage, if you would include the amounts like we did today.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you both. Our next item, item 24-279.
We have to vote.
Oh, that's right. We didn't vote. I'm sorry. That was the discussion. All right. Council members, would you please vote electronically?
This item is adopted 6-0.
Thank you. Item 24-279. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution that we are considering on this item?
A resolution certifying the City of Portsmouth support an application for Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development Port Host Communities Revitalization Fund Grant in the amount of $1 million in furtherance of the revitalization of 1040 Virginia Avenue for port-related uses.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Our next item, item 24-280. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution that we are considering for this item?
A resolution to approve the amended FY 2024, FY 2025 amended Community Services Performance Contract for the Portsmouth Department of Behavioral Health Care Services.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
Our next item on the agenda, item 24-281. Madam Clerk, would you please read the motion that we are considering on this item?
Adoption of a motion to donate Police Department K-9 KJU to the Warrior Dog Foundation in Dallas, Texas.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 6-0.
That concludes our city manager's report of the agenda. We will now move into new business. Item 24-282, boards and commissions and vice mayor. Do we have any boards and commissions to discuss this evening?
Mayor, there are no boards and commissions to discuss.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Dr. Whitaker, sir, you have the floor.
No, it's the items. It's the next agenda item.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Item 24-283, items submitted by council members. Sir, you have the floor. Dr. Whitaker.
Yes, this is for our city manager. As you know, on this past Friday, we started early voting, and there was an issue with the police issuing tickets in the parking lot. And so, as we were told, those tickets will be voided. Go right on.
Manager Carter, you have the floor, sir.
If you don't mind collecting those tickets or have them bring those to my office. I don't want to just say, hey, they'll all go away, because I don't know where they are, and I don't want somebody to come up 3 years from now and have a ticket that's outstanding that we didn't know anything about. So if you don't mind, if anybody got a ticket during that time, please either bring them to my office or give them to one of you guys and you give them to me.
Well, that's why I was raising the question. So there's no way systematically to void tickets that were issued within the city parking lot?
There is absolutely a way to do it. I just don't trust the system. Okay. I want to make sure that it's really taken care of. So it's a way to do it. Yeah, I'm not saying there's not, but from what I've seen thus far, things can have a way of falling through the cracks, and I don't want that to happen.
Okay, so let me ask this. Can we have it twofold? Because there are some people that may not hear this announcement or know about this to bring it to your office. So
Yes, sir.
if it can be done systematically as well as manually.
Right. Okay, so we'll absolutely attempt to scrub first, all right?
Yeah.
And I would still recommend, if anybody hears this, to bring it.
Well, let me ask this. You have the identification of the vehicles and who the owners are. Can't there be some communication also sent out to them? So, because it was just a set period of time that was done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll do our best to try and make sure we take care of it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure that nobody just don't get overlooked.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
then, like I say, it's 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you're trying to do something and this ticket shows up.
Right.
So
Okay.
absolutely, we'll do all we can to ensure that we communicate it well and take care of it beforehand.
Okay, all right. Thank you. And the other issue, council received, as well as I believe the city manager, you may have received too, the letter from the school board regarding the increase that will be needed, that will put our teachers as one of the top paying school districts in the area, based on this past, I believe it was a compression study that was done. And that's going to involve a significant investment on the part of the city. We are for education, and so I think that our colleagues, I think we should have a public work session involving how we're going to address this significant financial request that's going to be coming from the school system.
I concur.
Yep, all right.
Thank you, sir. Any other items submitted by council? Mr. Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. We just finished approving 11 acceptance of grants. I think that's referred as just pass-through approvals. And my question is to staff and probably to our acting city attorney is, why can't these be under one vote? Read separately, but under one vote. It looks like to me that that could be, if a citizen has a problem with the acceptance of one of those grants, we could always pull that out and allow time for the citizen to voice their objection. So maybe Attorney Challenger can speak to that.
Attorney Challenger, sir, you have the floor.
We'll be happy to look into that matter and report back to you on that.
Great. And I say this, from time to time, we have an equal amount, which is a good thing. I'm glad our grants department is doing a good job and getting grants, money coming in. But I think it'd be more expedient to just approve those under one reading instead of individual readings. Thank you, Mr. Challenger, for looking into it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tillage, did you want the floor? I did have one thing I wanted to sit under item submitted by council, and it's to also give our city manager, Mr. Carter, a pat on the back for his leadership. I attended a small business recognition event this past week, and 9 out of 10 of those businesses in our city were small minority businesses, but the greatest part of that was the grant dollars that were provided by economic development to help those small businesses get started and set up was provided by our city, and those are the dollars that the taxpayers have put out there to ensure that we are there to support our small business community. And I want to thank you, sir, for your leadership and continuing to do the good work that you and your departments do to help our community.
Thank you. That is the departments.
Yep, understood. Okay, report on pending items.
Yes, sir. In your, well, I think it was distributed to you today, the report backs. There was a request from Councilman Barnes to get that out earlier. We tried our best to do that. We ran into some issues, but we will try again and try to get this to you in a manner that allow you more time to review it before this. But everything that you've asked for is in there. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Hugo, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, Mr. City Manager, one of the report backs was on the paving on Cedar Lane and the height of the manholes. So there's at least 3 or 4 manholes in the southbound lane that have white X's painted next to them, and they are not at road grade level. And so if whoever told you we're done, I think was premature in reporting that we're done. If somebody can go back and take a look at those, we'll maybe get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs. Our next item on the agenda, non-agenda speakers, and Madam Clerk, would you please read the non-agenda speaker statement?
City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice the timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the City Council as a body rather than to any particular member of City Council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our first speaker tonight is, and ma'am, I hope I pronounce your name right, but if I do not, please help me. Allison Meserel. Ms. Meserel, are you here? Okay, we'll go to the next speaker, Mr. Harold Carruthers III. Mr. Carruthers, if you would come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes, sir.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Harold Carruthers, address 1616 Belafonte Drive. First, I want to thank Mr. Carter. I was out there in the Rock the Block, and I was seeing the efforts that he put together and you know, the crew that he had. I was observing the way people communicated, and also one of the people's houses that he went through, they was family of mine, and they felt confident and love from seeing y'all out there. And I want to get on that as a good issue. I noticed that y'all kind of hard on him. And the truth is, you know, when he came into Portsmouth, you know, all the things that happened, it ain't had nothing to do with him. You know, he just came in pretty much trying to rebuild something that was destroyed by everybody other than himself. And as a person that sit back and look at the hard work and the dedication that he putting in, I can see that it ain't just about the money. It's pretty much for his heart. He got love and respect for the citizens of Portsmouth. And what I'm asking from the citizens of Portsmouth, for y'all to show him, go a little bit easy on him. Y'all got to understand that a lot of the things that he dealing with, this was years ago. This was y'all mistake. You know, this ain't his mistake. And as a person that's sitting back looking at y'all, questioning y'all, asking him these things that y'all should have knew before y'all even came here. You understand? Like, this is real. These are things that y'all could ask people in his departments to try to help him with his work versus working against him. That don't make the city look good. You understand? That's a bad thing. And since y'all got a lot of energy that y'all want to, you know, pretty much attack somebody, I think y'all should take that out on the state. If you look at the streets and the highways that when I call in complaints, they tell me that this is about the state. Like example, if you leave in Cavalier Manor, Lakeview Elementary School, you go over that overpass. This side of that street look terrible. It is terrible. is it got the city looking terrible, and they say that's the state's responsibility. I think y'all should take that energy and force that on the state to have them fix the issues that they're allowing to happen here. I don't know if they remember, but truth be told, the United States came here, was developed here. That means the city and state was already here, so they got to show the respect for being here. And we host some of the beautifulest people in the world. You know, the people that fight for this city and the state and the country, and they deserve better living conditions than what they living in. And y'all can go around, y'all can see it, we can see it, the way that they take care of, what's that, Effingham Street. A lot of that got to do with them just as well as the tolls. I don't know if y'all understand, but I just seen you try to push an ordinance to get him to try to help with the people tickets. What about people that can't afford their tax because of the tolls? This is something major. You know, it's a lot of people in this city that they can't afford to get their tags renewed because they owe tolls. Now, they say, well, I'm going to give you 7 free trips back and forth. That ain't taking care of the bills that they got where downtown they can't get their tags. And as you know, as I seen him going in the area, he doing his job. You got people asking him and the Police Chief Jenkins about these cars, and they saying, well, you got to remove these cars or you got to get them registered. They don't have the money for that. You know, this is something we got to take into consideration. Like, this is something, I feel like when I ask questions about that tunnel, everybody tell me that that tunnel belongs to the state. Well, y'all need to get on these people who's supposed to be state legislators and senators supposed to be fighting for the city and tell them that that tunnel should not be direct impact on just the people in Portsmouth and Norfolk. If that's a state tunnel, the state should pay for it equally, not just 100% paid for by the people in the city of Portsmouth and Norfolk. And one other thing I want to get on is the living conditions in the current housing that we got out here. I go in a lot of condominiums and apartments around here, and they look terrible. And the thing is, when you look at the VPAP statements, I see a lot of people getting money from a lot of the owners of these places, and that made me question something on, is that why y'all allowing these people to live in these conditions? I go in places and I see the roofs and falling in, and these are people that can't do nothing about this, and they scared to speak up because they scared they're gonna lose where they living at. But this is y'all job to make sure that they're living in great conditions or better conditions than what they living in. So I'm gonna ask, can y'all step up and do something about that? We need more inspectors, not inspectors that's going around telling people to cut your grass when if you go past Victory and you look at, what's that? Y'all know with the Parks and Rec place, they ain't even taking care of that. That's how I saw. Y'all need to take care of that, or I take care of it. Give me a weed eater. The same thing as far as the Lakeview. I'm gonna give you 2 weeks to take care of that, or I'm gonna go out there and take care of it. And what I'm asking for y'all to send a police officer to stop, because the only reason they ain't took care of it is because the weed eater gonna send rocks and dirt in the traffic. That's why it's a city. That's why the state's supposed to take care of it. So take care of that. Just do your job, and please go light on this man, because for real, I wouldn't do the job if I was him. He the only one out here working, walking the streets. He ain't got to be out there. It's too much for him to have to deal with each and every day for y'all to come up here and give him a hard time. All right? Y'all stay blessed and love each other.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Laniqua Taylor. Laniqua Taylor. Ms. Taylor, if you come forward, state your name and address, you will have 5 minutes.
I'm Laniqua Taylor. My address is 618 Effingham Street. Good evening, members of City Council, city officials, and community members. My name is Laniqua Taylor. I'm the CEO of For the People Incorporated, and also For the Youth nonprofit, a nonprofit that empowers the youth of our community through arts and skill building programs. Today, I ask for support in pledging an annual commitment of $215,000 to fully fund our youth arts programs. At For the People, Inc., we offer more than just after-school activities. We offer a path to a better future. Through our programs, youth learn audio engineering, music production, photography, set design, and entrepreneurship. These activities not only foster creativity, but also teach valuable life skills like discipline, communication, and confidence. Our programs go beyond traditional arts education. They help young people see their potential and give them an outlet to express themselves in ways that keep them off of the streets. Imagine a young person discovering their passion for music. Ooh, I lost my place. mastering photography, or developing a business plan. These are the opportunities we provide. Our community faces a real crisis. Every year, it costs $215,000 to send just one young person into the judicial system in Portsmouth. Many of these youth could have taken a different path if given the right opportunities. Our programs serve as a preventative measure by offering youth a safe space, positive space where they can thrive. For far less than the cost of incarceration, we can invest in programs that steer them toward success and away from the streets. Right now, we are primarily funded through donations and fundraisers, but this is not the only way to sustain long-term. We need consistent funding to grow and to reach more youth. This is why we are seeking for $215,000 from the city to support our programs year-round, 5 days a week, with some Saturdays for field trips. We want to provide the same accessibility to arts and creative programs that recreational facilities provide for sports. By funding these programs, you are investing in the future of our city. The arts are more than just an extracurricular activity. They build self-confidence, discipline, and resilience that our youth need to succeed. The programs we run aren't just about learning technical skills, they're about changing lives. In conclusion, I ask to consider what kind of future we want for Portsmouth. Do we want to invest in our youth now or pay the price later? A pledge of $215,000 represents a commitment to keeping our young people safe, engaged, and equipped with the tools to thrive. Together, we can provide the opportunities that our youth deserved and build a stronger, brighter future for our city. I also want to thank those city officials that came out August 19th to the ribbon cutting of my building. And I would like to thank Economic Development and the city again for the $2,000 micro grant that we are using for furniture that we just received this last grant round. Now, that concludes what I had written, right? So how do I follow up after this message?
Ma'am, we don't handle those types of requests at the council meeting. If you would like to consider sitting down with the manager and having a conversation.
Sure,
Mr.
I'll
Manager.
schedule a meeting. Thank you all for listening to me and giving me the time.
Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Sherman Tyler.
How y'all doing? Sherman Tyler, 1812 Parker Avenue. I would like to, first of all, I'd like to say, Ms. Burke, I seen your, I ain't gonna say debate, but I seen your, when you was talking and they were asking you a question about if you become mayor, the changes. And I am blessed. The first thing you said is what I needed to hear. You know, you addressing the crime, you know. Mothers and fathers, that's what we want to hear. We don't care nothing about the economic right now because our children dying. Our children is dying. So to tell 200 families, because we lost 200 people in the last 4 years, to tell them that the first thing you're going to do as mayor, if you get that seat, is to attack crime. That's what the people need to hear. We don't need to hear nothing about no buildings. Because the buildings ain't no good if the people who live in the buildings is going to die. So I appreciate that, and we needed it as a city to begin to heal, you know. And I would like to say here, and I'm gonna say this here, every time I talk or every time I go live, you know, every day, people say, Tyler, you make everything about race. And I try not to, but when you got people that just seem like they just attack a certain people. You had a man that came in here that owned a bookstore on High Street. A bookstore by day and a little lounge by night. You had so many people on High Street coming in trying to find all reasons. They were so slick, they even got the police involved trying not to get this black man license. When they were complaining about noise, and you got 19 clubs down High Street.
You got 2 or 3 clubs right beside the building that he wanted to rent out. You had so many people coming around crime. Don't relate crime to us. Don't relate crime to no banquet. Tell me a banquet in Portsmouth that somebody died at. I can tell you, Cox Island lost some bodies. Griff's white owned on Portsmouth Boulevard lost some bodies. Yeah, a lot of them white owned, and you continue to get them licensed. I don't see the man that owned Cox Island here, all that killing he had in that club last year, a year and a half ago. All that killing. He not in here being questioned. Why are y'all talking to these people who's trying to start a business? If they not in compliance, just help them. These people have dropped money on deposits in these buildings, and you just come here and shut them down for nothing. For absolutely nothing. I know why you doing it. For that same reason, that black man on high school he had to hire massive, had to pay all that money to hire a lawyer to come in here to get his license. And won't doing no more than what Roger Brown doing, or the rest of them doing down on High Street. Y'all cut that mess up. Get with these people that's trying to, like this woman that's sitting right there. I know her mama, a renowned pastor out of Church of God in Christ. Good people that's trying to work and have something that they can call their own. So why are you relating crime to that? But you won't go shut down BP by the old Lincoln Park where you can't even get gas at night. It's so packed. Or how about the store on Elm Avenue? Where they're going in Walmart, buying canned food for $1 and come out community and sell it for $5. You couldn't even get out of Elm Avenue store without somebody coming to you begging. Why you ain't shutting them down? What you coming against us? This is why you make everything about race. I said a man had to come in and hire a lawyer for wanting to open up a club where it's 9 clubs on the same street. Why y'all treat us like this? Why? Why are you relating a crime to a little building that they want to rent for weddings? Last I checked, I ain't heard about no banquet, nobody died at no banquet. Shut them bars down that y'all homeboys own. That all this shooting is happening there. Go shut down Cox Island. You ain't gonna shut it down because it's white owned. Y'all stop coming here and doing it to us. Don't relate that mess to us. Go be decent people. And we know how to party without shooting and killing. We very smart and intelligent people. So what you do, you get with that woman. Come for the show, she don't drop money in that building. So her money lost. Get with her and help her. What she need? Work with her. She's trying to open up a legitimate business. Y'all sit there and play God on us. But thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mark Godaldig-Yatrovsky. Mr. Yatrovsky, if you would come forward, state your name and address, sir. You will have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and other neighbors. This evening in the work session, you had a presentation on on legislative initiatives for the coming year. And I want to focus in on 4 city charter changes that were requested by some portion of council. 2 of them are reruns. Summer is supposed to be the rerun season, but we're now in fall. And I feel that the General Assembly's failure to adopt the recall revisions and the non-interference revisions as they were presented 2 years ago was the right idea, despite the fact that it was done for the wrong reasons. The citizens who had the opportunity to state their opinions about those 2 matters were overwhelmingly negative. Now, overwhelmingly in the context of fewer than 10 people speaking, because that's the way these things go. These are items that are advertised in the usual fashion, and they don't necessarily get people's blood boiling, although they should, because the city charter is the foundational document for the governance of the city and the protection of the rights of the citizens therein. But council has treated it like its own playground. In fact, one council member a while back said, and I'm paraphrasing in an unflattering way, but I'll do it anyway, "Don't worry your pretty little heads about this, council will take care of it for you." Well, council takes care of these things in ways that serve the interests of individual council members and not necessarily the interests of the 97,000 plus citizens. The recall process should not be something that is so easy that you have one every week or every other day. Some people have represented that our current process is, but facts are facts. Since 1752, when Portsmouth was incorporated as a town, there have been 2 successful recalls. That's not every other day. There have been a spate of recalls in the past decade that have gone nowhere. So clearly the process is not overly easy. And the process as it's codified in state code adds to the expense of doing the recall. It imposes a judicial process that would not be there as we have it today. And it does not belong there. Non-interference, I believe that the way the non-interference rule should work is it should not be a criminal penalty, for sure. And I'm not sure how it reads in the charter today. But it should provide for removal if interference did occur, and disqualification for any future run. There should be a training session held every 2 years for council members so that you're refreshed on what constitutes interference, and so you can't say that you did it out of ignorance. But the best interests of the city are to let the professional city manager run the city with council oversight, but not more cooks in the kitchen. So my time is running out. I'll leave the other 2 for next time.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Sergio Neal. Mr. Sergio Neal. Sir, if you come forward, state your name and address, you will have 5.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Sergio Neal. I reside at 1420 Elm Avenue here in the city of Portsmouth. I come before you all tonight to talk about the progress of this city and what I think should be done to ensure it goes in a positive direction moving forward. Number one, our citizens have to get more involved. We look around at our neighboring cities and we see the work that's being done. And, we always, some people catch flak for comparing us to other cities and say, why can't we get things done in that time frame or in that manner or in that cohesiveness? And I can tell you where it starts at is with leadership. Everything, if you never heard the statement, hear it again. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Second of all, there has to be a level of accountability. If you're looking at the business world, they look at places on where they want to expand, they always look at the leadership around that area. They look at the education system, they look at the crime rates, they look at property values. They always bring those and other factors to mind as to where they want to go in order to grow. So, and when we see, I get it, I applaud people, for wanting to start, small businesses. I believe Portsmouth was built on small businesses, but I think we need to expand our horizons and attract those larger scale businesses that, that have that growth and that reach, that we can attract them and really expand our horizons overall, so we can get those job opportunities that we so desperately need for our citizens to reach higher income statuses. It's nothing wrong with having those businesses come here and start a route here in Portsmouth. But we need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and we're making sure that we have the right people in place as council members, as mayors or whatever, and school board members as well, to make sure that those businesses know that they're starting a route in the right place. We look, a lot of times when I look around, I see, like places where I've grown up, places where I've come across, I lived all across this city. I don't think there's not very many places in the city where I have not been. And I look at some of the things that have changed. Prime example, I see one effort that's been put in the Prentice Park, and I don't know what's driving it, but I think it's a really good thing. We have a lot of new diversity coming in Prentice Park. I say that a lot of Hispanics are moving into Prentice Park. They're moving right down Elm Avenue. They're enjoying the neighborhood with the kids, and I think that's a good thing. I think they feel welcomed and invited, and I would like to see more of that. They have businesses like construction and all that, and they're always looking, for ways to interact with us and grow. So, I think that's a good thing. But I also want to see more areas of Portsmouth grow with that same effort and earnest, because a lot of times, places like Prentice Park get overshadowed. The people say, oh, no, don't go there. That's like the dark place in the movie The Lion King. Don't go there because, of the negative connotation that has come with it. But I'm here to stand before you to tell you that, it's not that we have a lot of potential in Prentice Park. We have a lot of great opportunities coming to Prentice Park. And we as a collective body, I think I speak for all of my neighbors who are working hard to change the dynamic of our area and say enough is enough. We're not going to be the black sheep of Portsmouth anymore. That's not what we're going to do. And we're going to make sure that we hold our leadership accountable to make sure that when they're putting their effort into other places like Capitol Manor, like Crystal Lake and all that, make sure you don't forget about Prentice Park either, because we vote just like everybody else. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, Mr. Leon Hammonds. Mr. Hammonds, sir, come forward, state your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, Leon Hammonds, 809 Bowie Court. Gift cards. Now, I understand a few people got some tickets for the voting. I don't blame them. I complain too about that. But you don't want tickets to be charged to you on parking, just come in and vote. But you don't want federal funds, gift cards, be sitting on a desk not doing a darn thing and dwindling. Soon it's gonna be 2 for 1. See, it doesn't make any sense. I've been waiting to hear something from somebody on what's going to be done about the gift cards. It doesn't make any sense. It's not a hard thing to do. It shouldn't be. It should not be. It should not be. And each time I get up here, I'm going to preach the same thing. Of course, I got a second thing now. I'm a part of the Madison Ward Civic League. We've got a playground that has been developed out there. It hasn't been completely finished, but the park and recreation people in charge has gaslighted us And what I mean by gaslighted, they did what they wanted to do versus what we asked them to do. And city manager will be getting a letter from our civic league because the neighbors on the outskirt of our the boundary of the park is highly upset the way that basketball court was put. It should not have been put right at the back door of the neighbors. It should have been put in the same location where it was. Because the Park and Recreation been promising us to have someone come there. And all they do is not show up. And we don't like the idea of a whole lot of promises and no results. So, but you will be getting a letter from that. And also, for the simple fact is, we asked them to send a representative to our meetings. All we meet is 1 hour on the fourth Monday. That's all. And nobody shows up. But the thing about it though is we will not stand for continuously being gaslighted. Well, you asked for it, you got what you asked for. But the neighbors now, they're not satisfied having a basketball court that close to their backyard within a fence. See. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Steve Carroll. Mr. Carroll, you would come forward, state your name and address, sir. You will have 5 minutes.
Evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Steve Carroll. I'm a lifelong resident of Portsmouth. The last time I spoke at this podium was when council decided to give themselves an 87% pay raise. And that night, myself and others stated reasons why we felt like it was unjustified, even though we were sympathetic. Council not holding other council members accountable for improper conduct, unstatesmanlike conduct, vulgarity, childish, infantile behavior, baseless attacks against the chair. Last week, I came in possession of a letter from the owner of the Elizabeth River Country Club. I'm going to substitute the council member's name and we'll just call him Councilman X. This letter has some very ominous words and phrases in it. Councilman, slanderous, defamatory, false statements. The same thing that we brought up before you when you voted yourself a pay raise. And apparently no lessons were learned from that night. I'm going to read part of it. The council's failure to quell the claims made by one of its own members runs counter to its oath to faithfully execute its mission and amounts to the adoption of these false statements. Was this a consensus feeling among council, or was it a rogue attitude by a rogue member of council? In either case, shame on you for not acting on it. Just like the vulgarity rant, that member of council should have been sanctioned and fined, as prior members have been fined. Was this council member sanctioned and fined for making these statements? Because I don't know what the intent of this letter is, but I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling when I see those kinds of words in a letter written that addresses the credibility or the lack thereof of our city. One of the points we made earlier We just forked out $1.2 million in severance packages that could have been avoided. And I cringe to think how much money this city has forked out in lawsuit settlements. Most of them are frivolous and avoidable. And this is unacceptable conduct by members of council. This is unaccepted conduct by the council as a body. Your job, as this letter states, is to police yourself. Long story short, not only the false accusations about the owner not paying their taxes, it come to find out not only was he in good standing, he had overpaid his taxes and got a refund from the city, or is in the process of getting a refund. What a dichotomy there, folks. What's also rich, I'm an information pack rat. I don't forget a lot of things and I don't throw anything away. The same Councilman X was cited for an article in the News 13 report a few years ago of owing over $200,000 in back taxes and fees. And I don't know how that eventually got reconciled, but to put it in God's word, get the beam out of your own eye before you worry about the mote in your brother's eye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Sheila Joseph. Ma'am, if you come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes.
Sheila Joseph at 139 Grand Street, Portsmouth, Virginia. I sent an email to every last one of you and who's absent. Took y'all back to bring Mr. City Manager here up to date. And the reason why I sent to him, because back in 2021 of May, Ms. Jones was gotten rid of at the time that she was working on some issues in Fayetteville, my neighborhood, and some other issues throughout the city I was addressing. And what I wanted to say, I wanted to take everybody back so he'll have a chance to see the same thing that y'all know about from 2016, for those that might been here to even see me on city council in 99, Hurricane Floyd. And what I wanted to say was to bring things back in writing, because I love to put things in writing where a person got a question, I can give them a picture like this. We take time, my son and I. He went to the Art Institute. He can do movies and all kinds of things, but I won't go into it. This DVD have everything that's wrong, and not everything that we have is on here. But the major things that I talked about was the sewage, the drainage, which I don't have, but I do pay for. And in my neighborhood, the people have to walk across their cars to get when they get flooded. And I ain't talking about a hurricane, I'm talking about raining. Water up to your knees in Douglas Park and different other places that I have videos on. People come out of Northern Virginia, Maryland, and other places to see this and some other stuff. But when is one of you, other than Mr. Moody, gonna take time to want to look at this? I was saying this will help save money for the money you paying to contractors to come out and can't do the job because the city is stopped up. I want to address the part about the manholes and the sewage and the drainage because it's affecting our health. I talked about the EPA in January the 22nd when y'all was making an effort to save millions of dollars about the port or whatever it was on January the 22nd, and I was in here and EPA, and then I came on the 23rd and told y'all about it. Then we invited each one, and Mr. Huger came to the one, And you remember you came to the meeting, and I hope you got some good resorts and discussed it. I had asked you, I don't know, have you spoke to them yet about what we were doing as citizens from other cities joining together like y'all do with other cities? I noticed that a lot of cities want to back away from Portsmouth. And when I go to these meetings, they never mention Portsmouth. I'm there to speak up for Portsmouth. But for an example, I come back to Portsmouth way from out of town with this right here. It's called Grant Marketing Program, EPA Region 3. And I'm quite sure y'all know. It addressed some of the issues when I talked about the bill from President Biden and Congress Scott, and also the funds that Senator Lucas, I heard people say something about, the state. Well, I want to say, isn't she part of the state? And the money that she provide to our streets in the local, I just wanted to say that, and I want to say this. The killing that's going on, we have a lot of people in the community, but they're not taking time to get involved. I don't understand, but we doing things. And then this young lady I just heard is doing things and others, but we need to come together. And that means the community need to come together, the churches, the individuals, and the business. And then we'll be able, we see great things for the city of Portsmouth. And the city of Portsmouth is looked down on, but we're looking up. And I'm telling you, God got something special for Portsmouth because we've been through a lot. And we don't deserve to go through it, but I blame us from not being unified. I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity. But again, I got a map here showed to me about, let me say this please, about the neighborhood that surrounds my neighborhood in Fairwood. And I'm out here breaking my back, my money, my Social Security and all that, and taking pictures, helping, trying to save money. And people sitting on their butt don't care. They tell us they don't care, but I care. And I'm not on that list to be addressed in our neighborhood. The ones over in Cater and everywhere is. I want to find out why not.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Merle Rutledge. Mr. Rutledge, sir, if you would come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes.
Greed got us into this mess, and it's going to take love to get us out. I don't go to the state for leadership. I go right here. I don't mean in this council, I mean everybody. Within a second, we could decide to take a life or save a life. Too bad too many has chosen the opposite. That's what our prisons is for. That's what our jails is for. That's what funerals is for. Too often, we make excuses. See, I can't blame council. Council ain't picking up the gun. Are they? The problem is, it's not so much of the gun, it's the weapon. See, we could choose a gun or we could choose our tongue. Right? That's what I remember. I think y'all remember it. Let me bring you back into time. Before our streets got this bad, before our community no longer can talk to each other, be each other's neighbor, we used to do that. See, when we had a problem, our kids had a problem, we took our child, the other parent took their child, they met, and they worked it out. Guess what? Both kids was able to live. Guess what? The enemies became best friends. See, we are not going to spend a dime fixing this mess. You could fund as much as you want to. See, I don't look for leadership when it comes to the state because y'all are under the same color of the law. I look for leadership in the community. That includes you. See, my approach is a little bit different because I gotta say what y'all scared to say. That gives me peace. See, the donors and all these other people, I don't have none of them. That's why I'm at peace. God told them they can't control me. But see, I can control me. And that's what our youth need to do. That's what our community needs to do. That's what this whole state needs to do. Don't think the murder rate is just Portsmouth. The murder rate is us. See, in a moment, we're going to look at the news, we're going to see another dead body, and we're going to have the same approach, the same ideas, and the police is going to have the same stress. Y'all going to show up, and the community is going to say, we need to come together. The fact of the matter is, you either come together, you either change you. Look at the person in the mirror, because I don't give myself excuse, and I don't give anybody a burden that I don't take on. See, my heart bleeds that way. Your heart bleeds that way, but y'all been so contaminated by the cancer of your own internal strife. Those kids look to you. This community looks to you. But how about the community look at yourselves? See, that's why I'm trying to get here. We're so distracted by the chaos, we can't even see the bigger picture. See, if we take the leadership with ourselves, our kids won't go out the door and take the leadership of the gangs, take the leadership of the streets, the drugs, everything else. We took everything else out. Look what's left behind. See, we have the same complaints, the same people here doing the same thing over and over again. But that's good. We have to have a conscience. Every group has to have a conscience. But listen, people, I'm not here to condemn. That ain't on me. That's that toxic. That takes away from my peace. I need for y'all to have your peace. Stop feeling like you have to be perfect. I don't care about your past. Haven't cared about anybody else's. I care about what you do now. So I hope our words speak to you kindly. I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to everybody. People out this room, because they need to hear it too. But I want y'all to say, y'all been very blessed with the opportunities. And some of y'all believe in God, some of y'all don't. We can see how life is right now. But I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out, and I hope you take these words kindly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our speakers for this evening, and if there's no other business to conduct, our meeting is now adjourned.